Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 3, Episode 28, Lamb to the Slaughter, directed by Alfred Hitchcock and starring Barbara Bel Geddes as Mary Maloney. And this is an excellent episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, in my opinion. It's always interesting when Alfred Hitchcock himself directs an episode. He always seems to bring an element of visual storytelling to the show, which I always appreciate. There's parts of this episode that don't have a lot of dialogue, but they build up suspense and tension very well. Barbara Bel Geddes also gives a very good performance in this episode, which I would definitely say is one of the better ones of Season 3 overall. There's a few parts here and there where you kind of got to just go with the episode, a little bit, but overall this is an excellent episode that I highly recommend. So we start with a woman named Mary, our main character, and her husband comes home from work. He's a police officer, and he seems troubled about something. So Mary talks to him, tells him she's making dinner. We also find out that Mary's pregnant at this point in time. But her husband, Patrick, seems to have other things on his mind. He's very serious, and he basically comes right out with it, tells her he's met another woman that he wants to be with, and he wants a divorce. And he tells her, he'll give her the baby and she can raise the baby, but he won't be able to give her a lot of money. And he just doesn't seem that sensitive to her concerns at this point. So Mary goes in the other room, and when she comes back, she pleads with him to stay, but he really doesn't want to listen at this point. So Mary comes up with the idea to basically hit him over the head with like a piece of lamb. It's like frozen. She hasn't cooked it yet, and this does him in. This kills him. So then comes one of my favorite parts of the episode where we get a few minutes of Mary just kind of sitting around, kind of figuring out what she should do. Like I said, it builds tension, very, very well. So at this point, Mary calls a friend. I think it's a friend that she was supposed to go over to her house that night with her husband. She says they're just going to stay in instead. And we get some more good visual storytelling here. So at this point, Mary goes out, she goes to the store, and when she comes home, she deliberately makes a mess. She throws a table over, makes it look like there was a struggle or something in the house, and then she calls the authorities. So we go to the next scene, and a lieutenant comes by and starts questioning Mary. She acts very puzzled, like she doesn't know what happened. She just came home, and her husband was already dead. And then there's another really good scene where Mary's just looking around as a doctor investigates the body. It looks like there's some others investigating for fingerprints, things like that. And you can tell Mary's concerned that maybe they'll suspect her and she'll get caught at this point. I thought Barbara Bel Geddes did a really great job in this scene. The doctor also says that it was probably something heavy that killed this guy, Patrick, maybe like a club-type weapon or something. This also seems to concern Mary a little bit. So we go to the next scene, and the questioning continues, and Mary still continues to act puzzled. The thing right now that's really puzzling the lieutenant is that there's no murder weapon, and they deduce that it should probably be somewhere around the house, but they can't find it, and I think we all know where this is going at this point. So it's getting later in the day, and the lieutenant is getting more and more suspicious. He says something about this whole case doesn't feel right, and Mary continues to be concerned. But here's where I say you have to go with the episode a little bit. It seems like Mary should have at least been considered as a suspect at this point to me, but the way the episode plays it kind of gets away with it. It just seems kind of weird that the lieutenant thinks it could be something suspicious, and one of the other men investigating even mentions that maybe it was a woman, and yet her name never comes up, which is a little bit strange, but it doesn't really ruin the episode. So at this point, dinner is ready, and it's lamb, of course. It turns out that Mary cooked the lamb. She offers the lieutenant and others dinner, seeing as it's getting late. They tell her that's very nice, and as they eat and talk about the case, they say that the murder weapon might be right under their noses, and then Mary laughs, and that's pretty much where our episode ends after kind of a silly closing from Alfred Hitchcock. So overall, Lamb to the Slaughter is a really great episode. It's very well directed by Alfred Hitchcock and very well acted by Barbara Bel Geddes. And I'm going to give Lamb to the Slaughter a 4.5 out of 5. I do consider this an essential episode of the show, and I recommend it to all fans of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and also just fans of shows and films that Alfred Hitchcock directed in general. So 4.5 out of 5 for Lamb to the Slaughter, and as always, thank you very much for watching.